Hello, and thank you for standing by for JD.com's first quarter 2020 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. After management's prepared remarks, there will be a question and answer session. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the meeting over to your host for today's conference, Rio Lee. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thanks, operator, and welcome to our first quarter 2020 earnings conference call. Joining today on the call are Mr. Richard Liu, CEO of JD.com, Mr. Lei Xu, CEO of JD Retail, and Mr. Victor Wang, CEO of JD Logistics. Cindy Huang, our CFO, and Professor Liao, our CFO. For today's agenda, Cindy will discuss highlights in the first quarter of 2020, and other management will join the Q&A section. Before we continue, I refer you to our safe harbor statement in the earnings press release, which applies to this call, as we will make forward-looking statements. Also, this call includes discussions of certain non-GAAP financial matters. Please refer to our earnings release, which contains a reconciliation of non-GAAP matters to the most direct comparable GAAP matters. Finally, please note, unless otherwise stated, all the figures mentioned during this conference call are in RMB. Now I would like to turn the call over to our CFO, Cindy.
Thank you, Ray. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. 2020 has been an unprecedented year for all of us. As we mentioned on our last earnings call, JD.com and its heroic 200,000 strong frontline employees have been a unique force in supporting the livelihood of hundreds of millions of consumers, helping them to adapt to a new normal under the social distancing measures, and making notable contributions to a productive and sustainable society throughout the COVID-19 crisis. In that process, we also navigated through all the operational difficulties and the disruptions resulted from the COVID-19 outbreak and delivered a solid set of financials for our shareholders in the first quarter of 2020. We accomplished many impossible missions by leveraging our unparalleled supply chain and logistics capabilities that were invested over the past 15 years, as well as a strong corporate culture that cares deeply about our frontline employees, who in turn take great care of our valued customers. Our net revenues grew by 20.7% in the first quarter, ahead of our internal expectations, as we ensured the supply and fulfillment of essential products to our consumers amid this tough environment. The strong top-line growth was accompanied by even stronger user engagement. Our active customers in the past 12 months reached a total of 387 million, up 25% from a year ago, the highest growth rate in 8 quarters, with 25 million net additional customers on top of an already strong peak season net addition in the December quarter. Similar to Q4 last year, over 70% of new customers in Q1 came from lower-tier cities. The lower-tier city customers contributed over 50% of our fulfilled GMV in Q1, which sets a new record. In the meantime, our mobile DAU grew 46% in Q1, the fastest in 9 quarters. The level of user activities on our platform notably accelerated as we earned a greater consumer mindshare by being the only fully functioning e-commerce platform with diverse product offerings and superior logistics services immediately after the outbreak. This is further evidenced by our #1 internal KPI, the Net Promoter Scores, which reached all-time highs across all of our core businesses. Category-wise, revenue growth of general merchandise accelerated to 38%, the highest growth rate for the past 6 quarters, driven by our newly integrated Omni-Channel supermarket business group, growing 47% in the first quarter, as well as strong performance from healthcare, cosmetics, and household product categories. Our Omni-Channel supermarket group basically combines our FMCG, fresh produce, 7 Fresh, and convenience store business units, most of which were launched and developed from zero in the past 6 years. By 2019, the revenues of this group reached over 115 billion RMB, roughly 20% higher than the revenues of the largest offline supermarket chain in China, making us the largest retailer for this category in the country. If you consider the fact that most offline supermarkets also sell home products and appliances, our leadership gap will be even wider. In addition, our JD Health business unit is also gaining consumer mindshare, with quarterly active customers for medicine categories increased by triple digits. Net revenues from JD Health increased 65% year-on-year in the first quarter, surpassing the revenues of the largest offline pharmacy in China. As I had communicated with many of you probably every time we spoke in the past, we will secure market leadership across most of our core categories, one by one. And these are just 2 notable examples, while a few others are hidden champions. I'm thrilled that we have achieved quite a few of these milestones before my retirement. It's just a matter of time, and the snowball will continue to grow. For now, our general merchandise sales in Q1 contributed more than 40% of our product revenues for the first time, and further strengthened our brand recognition and consumer perception as an everything store with increasingly broader selections. On the other hand, the electronics and home appliance categories also performed extraordinarily well on a relative basis, growing nearly 10% as compared to a nationwide decline of 21% in the first quarter, according to the government data. As we discussed many times in the past, our electronics and home appliance categories can always outperform because our cost structure is 50% lower than our peers, which allows us to provide the best value and best service to the consumers. Another remarkably resilient metric is our fulfilled gross margin, which stood at 8.3% in Q1, comparable to the same quarter last year. There are a few moving pieces in this metric, but essentially, the lower fulfilled gross margin of the Omni-Channel supermarket business was substantially offset by the incremental gains from procurement economies of scale across all categories, particularly those with the market leadership positions. To a lesser extent, it also benefited from less subsidies used for traffic generation to cultivate consumer habit for online grocery shopping, which has probably leapfrogged for 1 to 2 years in the past 3 months. As a result, we are approaching the inflection point of the supermarket business ahead of our original schedule. Another positive contribution to the fulfilled gross margin was from JD Logistics, where the productivity gains from higher than expected orders more than offset the additional costs from the operational disruptions, higher wages, and staff protective measures. If you look around today, you can probably identify a clear pattern. Those who treat their employees well in the normal time are the most resilient in the time of turbulence. Besides the fulfillment expenses, all other expense ratios declined due to our more disciplined spending amid uncertainties during Q1. Our marketing, R&D, and G&A expense ratios in the first quarter improved 20, 38, and 13 basis points respectively compared to the same quarter last year. As a result, our non-GAAP operating income increased 65% to 3.3 billion RMB, and the non-GAAP operating margin was 2.2%, up 60 basis points from the same quarter last year. On a segment basis, non-GAAP operating income of JD Retail Group increased by 39% to 4.5 billion RMB in Q1, with operating margin improving to 3.2%, up 44 basis points from the same quarter last year. While the margin improvement may surprise some, it is because we have been investing for the newer categories and never tried to optimize our margin. As I mentioned to many of you in the past, the relatively decent margin business had already been there for quite some time. In this quarter, we just narrowed the loss margin ahead of schedule for certain categories that are under the investment phase. Moving to the bottom line, our non-GAAP net income attributable to ordinary shareholders in Q1 was 3 billion RMB compared to 3.3 billion RMB in the same period last year. The decrease was primarily due to certain one-off gains in Q1 last year. Our free cash flow for the first quarter was negative 3 billion RMB, partly due to our early payments or prepayments to certain suppliers to support their operations and secure certain sought-after merchandise. CapEx was prudent in Q1, and the spending for the development properties was for the existing projects. As disclosed, we established a second core fund with GIC in Q1 to dispose another 4.6 billion RMB of logistics assets, which remain the most resilient real estate asset class, regardless of the COVID-19 situation. On the financial outlook, we expect net revenue growth in the second quarter to be between 20 and 30% on a year-over-year basis, based on the accelerating growth in the first half of Q2, and assuming the COVID-19 situation does not create significant unexpected disruption in the remainder of this quarter. We are not in a position to provide any full-year guidance on the bottom line due to the uncertainties of the pandemic. However, the margin dynamics in our Q1 results may provide some basis for your own assessment on the various development scenarios of the COVID-19. In summary, we are privileged to be in a unique position to leverage on the best of our capabilities to help the society during the COVID-19 outbreak, including our broad product selection in consumer staple categories and our superior logistics infrastructure. We are confident that we will emerge stronger on the other end, with accelerated user growth, strengthened brand image, and expanded consumer mindshare. All of these validate our long-term approach to running our business with a customer-centric focus. I'm more confident than ever about our market position and our mid to long-term growth prospects. This concludes my prepared remarks, and we can now move to the Q&A session. Operator.
Certainly. The question and answer session for this conference call will start in a moment. In order to be fair to all callers who wish to ask questions, we will take one question at a time from each caller. If you have more than one question, please request to join the question queue again after your first question has been addressed. If you wish to ask your question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. We have the first question from the line of Ronald Keung from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Richard, Shilei, Wang Dong, Sydney, Miao Dong, Ray and Jia. I think it's a very strong result, and congratulations on the first quarter performance. And with the first quarter, we've seen how JD Logistics supply chain and logistics business proved to be exceptionally resilient over COVID. And we've seen that there's over 50% revenue growth for the logistics and others revenue line in the first quarter. So I'd like to hear, can management just outline some of the growth drivers and margin outlook for the logistics business in particular? And beyond fulfilling the first-party 1P retail orders, are there any plans to fulfill more of your 3P marketplace and even Jingxi orders? And what do we see as other opportunities beyond serving just within the JD Retail Group? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ronald. So I'll start, and then maybe Deng Hui can add on. So the logistics business enjoyed great brand recognition amid the COVID-19 situation. We were widely recognized by the consumers, but also by the government. We were awarded multiple awards across the region. So very strong performance. And along with that, we absolutely attracted some new customers during the pandemic because of the resilience of our operations. But as B2B business, the impact of the brand enhancement will not come immediately. So there will be lasting effect of that positive impact. But in Q1, we did see pretty strong demand from the existing clients and also new customers outside of the JD ecosystem. And as I mentioned earlier, the performance, the productivity of our logistics team was exceptional. In fact, the cost per order reached the all-time low during the first quarter because the order volume spiked unexpectedly, and our team, frontline workers, as I highlighted earlier, really I use the term heroic, because not only they were highly productive, but they are also very brave to fulfill the orders for consumers amid a lot of uncertainties. We, of course, also provided all the necessary safety measures to protect our employees, who in the end really didn't get harmed throughout the pandemic situation. But that additional productivity helped our overall margin in Q1 on a year-over-year basis. And this is a business that's built on scale. So as we continue to grow in scale, our margin will naturally trend better. And the business has been positioned to attract the external customers. I did mention earlier in Q1, our external revenue actually contributed more than 40% this year, this quarter. So it's another milestone for the group.
This is Wang Zhenhui from JD Logistics. I want to add a few things.
正前面黄总所说，物流一直把体验和我们的员工的包括员工体验放在第一位。所以在疫情期间我们为员工提供超过1000万只口罩和7万多张手套，并要求我们员工在日常生活中使用。
And as Philip just mentioned, the experience, actually including our staff's experience, is always at the core of our business. And during this very special time, the safety and health of our frontline logistics staff stay at the first priority for us to operate. And during this time, we provided over 10 million masks and 70,000 gloves and all kinds of protective gears to our logistics staff to ensure they are working in a relatively safe environment.
此外，我们还购置了超过1.7万个额温枪或者是体温计，以及10万瓶消毒水，以及我们在这个整个过程中，我们会把员工安全还是放在非常关键的这个角度来看。
And in addition to that, we have bought over 70,000 thermometers and over 10,000 disinfectants, etc., and all these are in place to ensure the operation is safe at the first place.
随着这个疫情的缓解，京东物流也是第一批甚至在有些区域成为唯一一家容许被进入小区和上楼提供给客户服务的一家快递物流公司，所以这些也都是我们的一种品牌的体现，也对我们的整个的外单的这种收入和给外部客户提供更好的服务提供了有效的保障。
And with the epidemic situation getting better, logistics is among the first, and actually in some areas it's the only logistic company, our GD couriers can deliver our product to door to our customers. And this has fully manifested the trust we have been built among our customers, our communities and the government. And this is also very helpful for us to gain more external orders and increase our revenues and services to all our clients. Thank you.
非常感谢Cindy王董。
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Alicia Yap from Citigroup. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening management. Congratulations on the strong results and guidance. My question is, could management elaborate a bit how we should reconcile the strong guidance you provide versus the current macro situation and the consumption sentiment? How much of the outperforms are driven by the consumption stimulus and the consumer wanted to buy more things coming out from the COVID? Or was that the benefit that we are seeing from the offline to online shift? How sustainable is this strong momentum into the back half of the year? Do you anticipate the demand to be more normalized? Thank you.
Okay, so I will, to Sydney, I will give a first shot and then maybe Shule can add. Yes, so what we have observed is that when the pandemic situation was highly uncertain and social distancing was at the most strict time, there will be a huge spike in orders for fresh products and other daily necessities. And as I mentioned earlier, we are now the largest Omni-Channel supermarket in China. So we are here to benefit from the increasing demand on this category. Essentially, people will be cooking at home, and so that will increase the overall demand for fresh and supermarket sales, both online and offline. And so that has will benefit, but it will be somewhat offset by slower growth from the discretionary categories as we have seen. Now that the country is gradually opening up and everyone is resuming to work, we do start to see pent-up demand on the slower categories starting in March and particularly in April and May. As I mentioned, we're actually seeing accelerating growth over the past 3 months. So that is in a relatively good scenario. Our strong categories will start to recover. And at the same time, because of the cautious measures still being undertaken by the majority of the consumers, for example, you still don't see many people in restaurants. So most people still will cook from home. So that will continue to create higher than normal demand for the supermarket product categories. So it really depending on the development of the COVID-19 situation, but in either direction, our business, because we are full category retailer and we have, we cover all the major categories, particularly the consumer staples. So we are in a position to grow regardless. So that would be my take.
好，我是京东零售的徐雷，我来做一些补充。
Sure, like from JD Retail.
我们在用户方面呢，可以看到 Q1 的话呢，其实整体的用户增长非常不错。那么尤其是我们在内部看的话，是老用户和沉睡唤醒用户的活跃度提升非常明显。
And on the user side, we can see in Q1 the growth rate is very healthy, and especially if we see the internal statistics, the existing customers and those reactivated customers are becoming more active this quarter.
如果按照用户的这个收获地址来看的话，我们3到6线用户占比已经超过60%， GMV 呢已经占比超过一半。
And if you see by the users' recipient address, over 60% of our users are coming from the 3rd to 6th tier cities, and by GMV they count for over 50% of the overall GMV now.
未来的话呢，我们在用户发展方面呢，我们还会继续围绕着几点，第一个还是这个下沉市场。当然下沉市场我们是用双轮，我们内部叫双轮驱动的方式，一个是通过惊喜这个新的独立的平台，另外一个是京东主站的一些通过算法的方式来进行针对下沉用户转化，双轮驱动。
And we will adopt a number of strategies to develop our user base in the future. And first of all, to target on our lower tier city markets and users, and we call it a dual driver system, driven by Jingxi platform and also by our main site based on our more precise customer algorithm.
另外，京东在整个中国的网络零售的这个中间，我们比较独特的是，我们的中高端人群以及家庭用户的占比是在整个市场层面上是占比最高的。
And in terms of the China's e-com landscape and online retailing, the characteristics of JD users are featured. A lot of them are middle and high-end users, and a lot of them are household users.
我们计划会在2季度末3季度初，会将原来的1号店转型为1号会员店，针对高线市场的中高端人群推出精选商品的付费会员服务。
And it is planned that by end of this quarter or early next quarter, we will provide a specialized program to provide more tailor-made services to our middle and high-end users, and providing them with more selected products with some paid services.
另外我们在1季度财报的时候，我们在去年年底的时候应该跟大家也做过分享，我们成立了一个京东零售的1级部门，就是用户增长和运营的部门。这个新的部门将公司所有的用户的资产和相关的职责都统一汇总在一起，通过技术和算法的方式来进行这个用户的转化和经营。目前1季度的这个经营数字看应该还是表现不错的。
And as introduced earlier, earlier on we have established a new first tier department under JD Retail, focusing on the users' growth and operation. And for this department, they focus on the optimizing of the users' algorithm and their database and assets to do more precise operations and conversion of the new users. And the result in Q1 is pretty effective.
从品类角度，刚才黄总介绍的，我们1季度因为疫情的原因，确实有些品类受益，但是呢，也有一些品类因为疫情原因，供应链原因等等的，会低于我们的预期。但是最新的情况来看，今年的5月份，五一长假期间，我们可以看到是，家电这个品类和时尚这个品类在5一期间得到了恢复性的增长。
And in terms of the categories, actually on our platform, some of the categories have been benefited from the coronavirus situation, and some have been badly affected due to supply chains, etc. This is lower than expectations. However, looking at the performance during the main holiday, we do see rapid growth in the home appliances and the fashion apparel segments.
最后我想再介绍一下今年2季度我们最重要的营销活动618。
And we'll also give you a few words about our most important marketing activities, that is 618 in this quarter.
第一点，因为疫情的原因，今年的618确实是，从品牌商角度、商家角度和行业整个行业线上线下零售商的角度，积极参与性是非常高的，应该是17年以来，应该是行业和上下游企业参与度最高的一次618。
And due to the epidemic earlier this year, we can see that the enthusiasm to participate into our 618 shopping festival from our brand partners, merchants, and all the retailers, online, offline, are very high. I think it's the highest since in the past 17 years. They're very engaged.
我们也得到信息，也能看到预期的是，行业的友商对于这次618的参与度也会非常的高。
And we can also expect that all the major players, the competitors on this market, are also very active in preparing for this event.
但是618因为是京东的主场，我们已经做了今年第17年，我们具有天然的优势和占领消费者心智，而且现在品牌商跟商家的投入和参与度是空前的。
And as all of you know that 618 was created by JD 17 years ago. This is the 70th 618 event. And by nature, we will take more center stage in this activity. And so far, we have received very positive attention from our customers, and also a lot of invitation and investment from the merchants and brand makers to coming our way.
最后，如果疫情不出现反复的话，我们认为今年的618会是一个非常好促进品牌和商家恢复增长的，这么一次抵消一季度疫情对整个大家年度业务影响的一个非常好的时间点。
If there's another major outbreak of the coronavirus again, we do think the 618 this year will be a golden opportunity for all the merchants and the brand makers to recover and offset their loss in Q1.
好，谢谢。
Thank you.
谢谢。
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Tina Long from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you, management. Congratulations on the very strong results. I want to follow up on the lower tier penetration because now, as Mr. Xu Zong just mentioned, that we have Jingxi, and recently I also noticed that we have Jingdong Jisuban or JD Lite, and also we do have probably over 10,000 of JD Jingdong Jiadian, Jingdong Shuma, so those stores in lower tier cities. So and also we sort of give the first level entry access point of WeChat to Jingxi since late last year. So I want to know, first of all, from each apps we just talked about, and also including those offline shops, what kind of product offerings we tend to acquire those lower tier city users, and also the contribution from the newly sort of upgraded access point. How much of our user contribution actually come from the WeChat after we sort of give access to Jingxi instead of JD? Yeah, thank you.
好，跟大家分享一下，我们在我们对低线市场和低线用户的一些看法和一些操作方式。
Let me just share some of our operations and our observations on the lower tier market.
首先我们会在场的打造上面，我们并不会依赖于单独的一个场。刚才的介绍里面已经提到了，我们除了刚才的惊喜这个专门针对低线的场以外，我们主站的 APP 也会通过算法的方式，在场的方面也会去营造。
And first of all, in building different shopping scenarios and places, we will not rely on any single shopping scenarios. Besides the Jingxi platform, which is targeted to the lower tier customers, we will also use our main site through algorithm to play a role in expanding our shopping scenarios.
坦率地说，一季度惊喜在2、3月份，因为受到春节和疫情的影响，双重影响，其实是低于我们的预期的。
And just to be frank speaking, for Q1, the Jingxi platform in February and March was affected by both the Spring Festival and the epidemic situation.
但我们也可以看到，我们的这次发布的数据里面，之前我介绍的我们用户的占比，包括 GMV 的占比，其实依然在低线市场呢还是非常强劲的。可以看到，我们应该是从多种方式取得的结果。
But as you can see on this earnings cost results, on Jingxi platform, the percentage of our users and our GMV are all growing. The rate is also growing very healthily. So we are also adapting different measures to go down into the lower tier markets.
当然，随着疫情的缓解，惊喜现在已经恢复到了一个节前春节前正常的一个水平，而且因为疫情，我们也看到了很多的机会点。例如一些大量的外贸的工厂转为内销，而惊喜在这些工厂和这个产业链的结合上，应该取得了还是不错的进展，包括商家的拓展，以及农产品，在一季度因为疫情原因会有一些滞销，那么惊喜团队也做了大量的农产品的销售和直播，既起到了这个销售的好的作用，同时呢也为这些农户做出了相应的企业责任贡献。
And with the situation of the epidemic getting better, now the operation of Jingxi has come back to the normal level, the level before Spring Festival. And in the meantime, we also identified several opportunities for Jingxi to grow. First of all, due to the epidemic impact, actually a lot of factories who originally produced commodities for export now is looking at the domestic sales opportunities, and the Jingxi can find a good way to collaborate with them to help these factories to transform their business. And at the same time, Jingxi has done a lot of jobs to support the farmers to sell their agricultural produce, and through live streaming and different ways. This, at the same time, is also the social responsibility we are performing to help the farmers, etc.
另外的厂就是我们的线下厂，我们有京东的家电这个专卖店，包括电脑数码专卖店、京东便利店等等。那这些厂实体的厂的这个下沉，对我们也有非常好的积极作用。
And another shopping scenarios we have is our offline stores. We have those franchise stores of home appliances, consumer electronics, and convenience stores, etc. And all these physical offline stores are playing a very important and positive role for us to go down to the lower tier market.
最后简单说，除了厂以外，我们还有货的下沉。我们在 C2M 方面，在产业链开发的工厂货方面，以及自有品牌方面。我们都针对下沉市场用户的需求去，或者自己开发，或者调动资源，让相应的品牌或者商家来提供针对他们的货，厂和货的结合，我们认为在多种渠道上、多种厂商才能最终取得现在的目前的结果。
And besides our various ways to create shopping scenarios, we are also bringing our products down to the lower tier cities through our C2M products and self-owned brands, and working with different industrial bouts to leverage all kinds of resources and to collaborate with the merchants and the makers, etc., to meet the need and tailor the need of the local market. But only through building different shopping scenarios and making tailor-made products with a combined effort, we can achieve the current accomplishments.
谢谢。
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Jerry Liu from UBS. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you, management. My question is about margins. If we look at the first quarter, net margins were quite strong, actually reaching a level we saw throughout 2019. despite COVID. And earlier we talked about some of the investment areas actually maybe improving ahead of schedule. So as we look forward, do we see opportunities where we want to step up reinvestment of some of these profits into other areas, or do we want to let margins continue to rise a little bit higher? I know management has talked about this long-term target in the past of maybe even high single-digit margins. So just want to get a sense of the appetite for reinvestment or letting the margin come up a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, Jerry. This is Sidney. Yes, the plan, first of all, there are still a lot of uncertainties, due to the COVID-19 situation. But clearly, we will act on the increasing customer base, the enhanced user engagement. We'll definitely continue to invest, as we have always done, to seek the opportunity, to seize the opportunities. Should I mention earlier about June 18th festival, which will be a great opportunity for us to work with brands, work with suppliers, to really make up for the lost sales for everyone, in Q1 due to the pandemic. So we will put in our share for sure, not only to drive growth, but also to support the recovery of the overall, from a society point of view. Clearly, it's also a great opportunity for us to retain the new customers we acquired, and also to continue to build consumer behavior for multiple categories that we have gained so much in the past 3 months. So I guess the short answer is we will, as always, continue to reinvest. We will continue to keep an eye on the margins. As you can see, what we did in Q1, because it is, in the uncertain time, we will remain very, very disciplined. But on the other hand, we will never stop investing in our customers. We'll never stop investing in improving the user experience, and to that end, the investment will always continue.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Thomas Chang from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks management for taking my questions, and congratulations on a very strong set of results. I have a question is about from our supplier. We have provided a lot of support to our supplier to pass through the challenging situations. Can management comment about the environment of the suppliers in China? Are we seeing how long do you think our suppliers will be back to normal, and the support measures that we provide to them, will we step up the efforts to help them passing through the situations, or should we expect they will recover in the second half? So that is more relating to the free cash flow side. Should we expect the free cash flow to turn positive in coming quarters? Thank you.
Okay, I will first give a shot. Just on the support to suppliers, it happened mostly in February and maybe in early March when the pandemic was in the most severe situation, when the whole country was locked down. But I think fortunately, the control was quite effective. So by March there are there were very few new cases. So many factories and producers had already started to resume work, especially for the essential categories. So, from our overall assessment on our supplies, because we work with leading brands across the country, so most of them are back to work. their cash flow has resumed, somewhat back to normal. So towards the later part of the quarter, there were more prepayments rather than basically to secure sought after merchandise, and it's to a lesser extent just to pay payable earlier. So I think overall the financial health of the suppliers we work with, they are mostly mid to large suppliers and brand owners. Financially, they are quite sound. Now, there may be, for the small, medium enterprises, there might be issues. So that's why we, for our Jinchi business, for example, Shirley mentioned that there were some slowdown, but we are also seeing the activities picking up. So overall, we are cautiously optimistic. Now, on our own free cash flow, we do expect it gradually return to normal. But on the other hand, just stay alert about potential, future W-shape, for example, scenarios. Then, so cash flow will remain to be a focus for us as well. Free cash flow, should be a function of our overall bottom line, but we do expect free cash flow to perform better than our net profit as we did last year.
Thank you, Sidney, for the detailed answer, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Eddie Long from Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Hey, good evening, guys. Congratulations on a good quarter amid a difficult time for everyone. I have a bigger picture question. Given the strategy and aggressive tactics of some of our competitors, so do you see a risk to the industry's long-term margins? If not, why not? Thanks.
Yeah, I think we have, as I mentioned in my earlier remarks, we have been as aggressive as we could in our own right. We have been investing heavily in all of the categories. We always strive to provide the best value on top of the best service. So, that's why I mentioned also earlier in response to Jerry's question that we will clearly also step up our own investments, given the relatively strong performance, and investing back, basically giving back to our consumers as we always do. And when we do that, we also work with brands, and in a joint effort in those promotional activities, and on top of our everyday low price. So, the fundamental driver for our margin, I can't speak for others, the fundamental driver for our business is from the economies of scale. Because as we continue to grow, we can gain more and more procurement benefits. Some are as straightforward as rebates, volume-based rebates. Others could be in the form of customized models and private label products. So a lot of those tools will become available once you are the largest retailer in a category. So we will not be affected by others in the industry, which is the trend you have been seeing over the past few years. Because every year, if you recall, every year there's a reason to believe the competition is stronger. Every year there's a reason the competition become more fierce. But we continue to perform pretty well, and with growth now accelerating and margin expanding.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Gregory Zhao from Barclays. Please go ahead.
Hi, management. Thanks for taking my question, and congratulations to the strong quarter. A really quick one. We know large majority of the products are produced by the local manufacturers. But you still have a portion of the products are imported from the overseas market. As the pandemic is still ongoing, right, in the rest of the world, how shall we think about the impact to your import and the cross-border business? Thank you.
Xu Lei.
对于京东来说呢，我们的基石的品类应该是我们的消费者认知也是最认知最强的，是我们在这电子的。
For JD, our very fundamental and the highly well-known categories is our electronics and PC segment.
个人电子里面呢，家电应该是基本不太会受到疫情的影响，尤其是在供应链端。那么前期家电的品类的发力主要是在需求端，因为大家电包括房地产的原因，包括大家电可能无法入户安装，近期已经在做恢复。
And for this home and appliances categories, the supply chain was not heavily affected by this coronavirus, but the flat driver is more from the demand side because these products won't be delivered and be installed at door.
手机这个品类基本上也不会太受疫情的后续影响。那么前期的影响是在于一些5G 的新款手机的原计划1季度的发布呢，会延迟到2季度，所以大家可以看到近期4、5月份的这个新手机发布会比较多一些。
And for the mobile phone categories, its development will not be, the sales will not be heavily affected in the later quarters as well. And some major impact on this category is the 5G new products released, which were planned to be launched in the first quarter, has now been postponed to be launched in this quarter. So you will see more new products of the 5G phones released in April and May.
IT 这个品类呢，坦率地说会受到全球供应链的一些影响，例如像存储的价格已经确实是在上涨当中。但由于我们在国内线上线下的占比会非常高，所以说我们跟全球的品牌我们的合作紧密度应该是最好的，应该可以赢得这场这个疫情突然的到来的情况下，在市场的竞争和发展。
And for this IT category, this will be have a more impact from the global supply chains, especially you can see from some storage pieces, the supplies and the prices are going up. However, thanks to our market share online and offline on the Chinese market, we will strengthen our collaborations with our brand partners globally and to secure our leading positions and against all the odds of the coronavirus.
单纯从海外进口的商品，可能是包括了进口的母婴、进口的化妆品和进口的一些时装、时尚类的产品。可以明确的说，2季度不会受到任何影响。但在3季度方面，确实目前看还有一些不确定性，需要看国外重点商品的产区的疫情的恢复情况。
And for some categories, which many of them are from overseas, we need to import, for the mom and baby products, cosmetics, all of these, their impact in the second quarter is not very big, but there is uncertainties on the third quarter, and this will mainly depend on the epidemic situation in the manufacturer region.
好，谢谢。
Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Eddie Wang from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Thank you, management, for taking my question, and congratulations on the great results. So I have a question regarding the advertising and marketplace revenue. We understand that in the first quarter, because of the COVID-19, they have an active impact on these parts of the revenue in terms of revenue growth. So have you witnessed, there's a strong, recovery, especially in terms of the advertising revenue from the third-party merchants in the second quarter so far? Thank you.
好，金融民策徐雷来回答这个问题。
This is Xu Lei.
整个中国的广告市场可以看到，去年是个位数的增长，但是网络广告方面的增速应该占比非常的高，幅度也最高。
If you see the results in 2019 in the advertising market, it only achieved a single-digit growth, but the internet advertising has taken a bigger share.
我们拿到整个 Q1 整个中国市场的广告是负增长，那么在网络广告中，其中品牌型的广告也是持负增长。
And in this Q1, the overall Chinese market, the advertising revenues is a negative growth, and for those brands advertising, it's also a negative growth.
但是京东最大的不同是在于我们的广告其实是品牌跟销售的高度结合，因为我们距离用户购买的路径是最近的，所以说在整个疫情表现上，另外第二点，我们目前呢从广告主数量来说是中小企业占比比较高，但从绝对的金额角度占比来说，我们还是以中大型的企业为主。
And what makes our JD advertising business different? And first of all, well, our advertising services is highly integrated with the branding, advertising, and the sales, because we are very close to the customer's shopping decision. And secondly, among all our advertisers, there's a lot of them are from SMEs. However, if you see the absolute values, there's a very heavy investment from the large and medium-sized companies.
所以我们在疫情期间的话，这个平台的特点决定了我们在品牌和广告商家方面的品牌商和广告商家方面的 ROI 我们是在提升的，所以说在广告主的 UP 值上面也是在提升的。可以看到京东成为在疫情期间中大型的以品牌为主的广告主和商家的最重要的广告投放场。
And thanks to all these factors, we have seen the ROI for our advertisers and the merchants are actually growing up, and this in turn has given them a much higher art value. And during this epidemic special period of time, JD has become a very important place for those medium and big size enterprises, especially those brand partners. Favorite place to place their advertisements.
那么我们也可以看到，随着疫情的恢复，中小企业广告主的广告的交投的活跃度在提升。但是今年最大的区别，他们对 ROI 的要求会更高，而京东在其他所有的电商类的广告平台里面 ，ROI 应该是非常好的，那么会对那些 ROI 不好的广告平台会产生比较大的压力。
And with the COVID session getting better, we have seen that the SMEs are being more active on the advertising transactions. And the difference is actually for SMEs, they have an even higher requirement on their ROI. And among all the Chinese e-commerce platforms, and JD is doing a great job in providing the ROIs. And relatively speaking, I believe for some e-commerce platforms that is not delivering a good ROI results will have a very big pressure this year.
整体来说，我们对 Q1 的广告业务的表现是符合预期的，也是满意的。谢谢。
So overall, we are satisfied with the performance of our advertising business performance for Q1. Thank you.
谢谢徐雷总，谢谢。
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of James Lee from Please go ahead.
Great. Thanks for taking my questions. Can you give us an update on the state of deregulation for online pharmacy here, and help us understand a little bit how you're working with the government and hospitals to drive the adoption here? And also maybe, during your experience of COVID-19, what gives you the confidence that the user behavior that you're seeing will remain? And how are you uniquely positioned to take advantage of this category? Thanks.
Shulei, I would like to give you a brief introduction on our JD Health development.
这次疫情的突发呢，确实让我们的大健康呢整个业务也在快速的成长。
Because of the epidemic outbreak, it gives us opportunity for a fast growth of our JD Health.
但同时，我们这么一个年轻的团队和年轻的业务，在这次疫情当中承担了很多企业社会责任，克服了困难，尽可能的保证了防疫物资的供应，包括推出了免费的问诊服务、直播，普及医疗知识等等的，应该说也是起到了非常好的作用。
And this is such a young team and a young business, and they have contributed a lot for the society to fight against the coronavirus. We have been providing to ensuring the supplies of all kinds of medical materials and to provide free online telemedicine consultations and do the live streaming to spread knowledge about the virus, etc. So they have really done a lot of great job.
我们业务方面呢，应该说除了常规的药品的这个供应链和电商业务以外呢，我们的健康医疗服务应该也做得很好。那么互联网的问诊量在疫情期间是爆发性的增长。那么同时也是国内首家是上线这个病毒核酸检测的互联网问诊平台，应该也方便了整个社会的这个大多数企业的复工复产的需求。
And besides the normal business of providing medicines and drugs, we have also done a lot to provide the health services. We have experienced a explosive growth on the online medical consultations, and also we are the first telemedicine platform to provide the coronavirus the nucleic acid testing services, which is very needed for a lot of workers who are waiting for coming back to work.
我们可以看到，从消费者端的话，年轻人本身呢就是互联网诊疗这种新事物接受度非常高。同时呢，50到60岁年龄段的消费者呀，对互联网医疗的认知呢有比较大的这种促进作用。
And in terms of our customers, for those young customers, the telemedicine is not a very easy thing to get used to. And for this COVID situation, it's very helpful for us to be known and used by those senior people over 50, 60 years old.
我们可以看到，国家政策方面，线上医保的支付已经放开，那么这将会推动整个互联网医疗的发展。
And on the government policy side, we have seen the opening of the online payment of the medical insurance, and this will greatly promote the development of telemedicine and online health services.
医疗健康机构和药企的一些行为也发生了变化，开始积极拥抱互联网。
We've also seen those hospitals and pharmacies and all these related players. They are also actively embracing the internet.
最后简单的介绍京东健康的我们的定位呢，是希望以供应链为核心，以医疗服务为抓手，用科技的方式去推动和帮助用户做健康的管理。
And the value proposition of JD Health is to leverage our core capacities on supply chains and to provide our health services with our technologies to provide a whole life users services to our customers.
医药供应链的能力和医疗服务的能力是我们接下来要去加强和完善的。
And for the next step, we'll continue to strengthen our supply chains on the medicines and drugs and improve our abilities on health services.
好，谢谢。
Thank you.
And if I could ask a follow-up question maybe to Sydney about the long-term margins of the online pharmacy business, how should we think about that relative to your other categories? Thanks.
Sure. Yeah. So if you look at, when we looked into this space, if you look at the offline pharmacy financials. What's interesting is that the sector has roughly 40% gross margin, but with very high expense ratio of over 30%. And here we actually saw a very similar pattern as our electronics home appliance business, where I mentioned earlier that our expense ratio is 50% lower than the leading offline players. And here, for healthcare, our expense ratio was also significantly lower, probably 10 percentage point advantage versus the offline pharmacies. So this also gives us the ability to provide the best value and best service to our consumers. So that is why our pharmacy business has been quietly growing tremendously over the past few years. And it leverages our, as Julie mentioned, right, we have the existing customer base. We have the consumer recognition, of JD as a trusted platform, which is quite essential for healthcare services. So that trust element, the fulfillment, reliability, the speed, and our value proposition, meaning we can provide lowest price. All that combined is a great combination. And because of our cost structure driven by our technology, cost structure is lower, so we can also have a decent margin for this business. So this is where we are already, and we're seeing, as I mentioned, tremendous growth, with this fundamental economics basically underlying our business model here.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
Thank you. We are now approaching the end of the conference call. I will now turn the call over to JD.com's Rio Lee for closing remarks.
Thank you, operator. Thank you for joining us today. Please feel free to contact us if you have any further questions. We're looking forward to talking with you in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation in today's conference. This concludes the presentation. You may now disconnect. Goodbye.